With any election campaign, there are certain advantages enjoyed only by the incumbent Prime Minister. Yesterday's D-Day commemorations in Normandy should have been an easy win for Rishi Sunak. He could have spent the entire day looking statesmanlike on the world stage. Instead, he's been accused of an unpatriotic dereliction of duty. He headed back to Britain, missing an event with other international leaders before recording an interview, as it happens, with ITV. Today, the PM apologised. On reflection, he said leaving France early was a mistake. He surely didn't expect that to draw a line under the error, which may become the defining calamity of his campaign. All day, party faithful, if there are many left, told us the issue is already being raised on the doorstep, and tonight one Tory foot soldier was sent out to take the flag.
America's and Europe's leaders yesterday afternoon, marking the 80th anniversary of D-Day, and to thank the thousands of soldiers who risked and gave their lives on the beaches of Normandy in the cause of freedom. But hang on, that's not the British Prime Minister, or at least not the current one. Rishi Sunak, conspicuous by his absence and accused of disrespecting our veterans, worked out overnight that he got it badly wrong by leaving France early to record an interview with ITV.
The itinerary for these events was set weeks ago, before the start of the general election campaign, and having participated in all the British events with British veterans, I returned home before the international leaders event later in the day. On reflection, that was a mistake and I apologise. I think it's important, though, given the enormity of the sacrifice made, that we don't politicise this.
Prime Minister, you didn't care, did you?
No, I cared deeply.
Then why didn't you stay?
As I said, the itinerary for these events was set weeks ago, before the general election campaign.
No politics here? Pull the other one.
I thought it was really important for me to be there, to pay my respects to them and those that didn't return, and actually to say thank you. Now, Rishi Sunak will have to answer for his own actions. For me, there was nowhere else I was going to be.
Answering for the Prime Minister tonight in a BBC debate was his senior colleague Penny Mordaunt, who didn't initially sound like an ally.
What happened was very wrong, and I'm glad the Prime Minister has said that, and he's apologised. He's apologised to veterans, but I think he also has apologised to everyone, because he was there representing us. I don't want this issue to become a political football, because I think that does them a
disservice. Well, it already is. It already is, because the veterans themselves are speaking out saying he's let the country down. And to say that it's a mistake, if his instinct was the same as the British people, he would never have contemplated for a moment not being there for the big international ceremony. And it shows how disconnected he is with the people of this country.
He's apologised.
I think what we saw from the Prime Minister was panic.
Let's be clear about what happened yesterday. It was not only politically shameful, but I think many of us feel personally quite insulted.
A Prime Minister who puts his own political career before Normandy war veterans is no Prime Minister at all.
Here at ITV, anxious Tory candidates were texting us their frustration with Rishi Sunak. One message said, the PM leaving Normandy earlier came up on the doorstep today often. Anger at 7 out of 10, real cut through. Another, it's killing us on the doors. And another, he's one of the worst Tory leaders ever, if not the worst. Bert Westgate landed on Normandy beaches shortly after D-Day.
My service number was 1877060.
He's as angry as those Tory candidates, though a Labour voter.
Irrespective of what one's political viewpoint is, I said, naturally somebody like that, you would naturally expect them to see the service right the way through, and I think it's absolutely disgusting.
Sunak's Tory bus left, believe it or not, Veterans' Way. Would the Prime Minister find a haven of support? Well...
And that shows that we're on the right track.
But the NHS is disintegrating. I am one of 2,500 GPs in this country who are currently unemployed due to your policies.
If it can go wrong, it will go wrong. They used to call that Murphy's Law, but maybe it's Sunak's now.
Well, on that note, Robert joins me now. And Robert, you know, in campaigns past, we've often seen the point of no return, whether it's Gordon Brown jinning Duffy or Theresa May and the dementia tax. Do you think this could potentially be Rishi Sunak's point of no return? Is it recoverable for him?
Look, it's very serious for a number of reasons. It's not just the apparent disrespect to veterans, which of course is really troubling to Tory candidates. I mean, you know, they're all telling me pretty much every day how much of a threat reform is to their prospects. Talking to one senior minister today who told me just a couple of percentage points shift within where they sit to reform, and he thinks he's going to be toast. And the problem with disrespecting veterans is it upsets everybody, but it particularly upsets those who are thinking of moving from the Tory party to Nigel Farage's party. But more broadly than that, obviously the biggest threat to the Tory party is the Labour Party, who are streets ahead in the polls. Rishi Sunak prepared this election with a big speech that said he was going to make the election all about the threats to our security from Russia, potentially from China, from North Korea, and that he was the Prime Minister with the experience to see off that threat. And he was sort of contrasting his time in government with the relative inexperience of somebody like Keir Starmer. Now, he turned down an opportunity to be side by side with the President of America, the President of France, the Chancellor of Germany, showing solidarity to the likes of Putin, or, you know, in what we used to call the free world, against their challenge, against the threats that they pose. And he decided to be here. Now, you know, people have noticed that he did an interview, actually with you, with ITV yesterday. We didn't insist he come back to do that. He was coming back anyway. He's made that clear, which is why so many of his own colleagues, and frankly, we heard this in a really shocking way from Penny Mordaunt, a former Defence Secretary tonight, have just said he got it not just wrong, but really seriously wrong.